As the sun rose on the final day of this year's Rooster Road Trip, we found ourselves contemplating the history of the Red River Valley's grasslands. And I mean history. Roughly 13,000 years ago, a continental ice sheet began to disintegrate, and its meltwaters created the massive proglacial Lake Agassiz. At its peak, this lake was larger than all of the Great Lakes combined. So, what does a giant dried up ancient lake have to do with our hunt?
Grand Forks County is not a place I ever had kind of on my map. Yeah. Red River Valley is not really where you typically come running to do a whole lot of upland hunting. But we have this cool spot and a cool opportunity.
That's where Dr. Susan Felege comes into play. Susan is a biology professor at the University of North Dakota with a strong interest in game bird ecology and management. And she also happens to be a member of Pheasants Forever and Quill Forever's National Board of Directors.
So we got small chance of pheasants.
Yep.
Even smaller chance of seeing prairie chickens.
Yep.
Larger chance of sharptails.
That's what it usually is, so.
With her by our side, we were quickly enrolled in a class that covered what makes the conservation of this area so important, the plight of the prairie chicken, resurgence of sharptails, and, relatively speaking, the recent arrival of roosters.
So what we're working on right now, this group that's called the Grand Forks Prairie Partners, one is to increase the quality of it right now.
Fight the Russian olives, fight the cattails, disturb what is there to create better quality. Yeah. Is that what we kind of need, more disturbance?
Yeah, and just some tree removal out of all the Russian olives that are here. So there's some efforts happening in that front, and we're excited. You know, Pheasants Forever, among a lot of other groups, are working to see what we can do to keep this a nice core area. And then if we can grow it, great, but let's start with making sure we have a good core that we defend to start with.
So how do we want to attack?
I know a little more of the stuff on that side, which we've walked because we have a lek out that direction, but some of over in here, I haven't never really even walked. We're gonna have some fun with this.
You calling the shots?
You are.
I'm nervous now all of a sudden.
I got some rose hips in here.
Yeah, it looks good. These pockets all look good.
Looking birdie.
It's the right height.
So if you look, the Red River Valley is the tall grass, which it's one of the most threatened ecosystems that exists. As you go out of the valley, you get to the mixed grass, which is what we classically think of as the kind of duck factory parts of North Dakota. Depending on where you look, it's like 1 to maybe 4% of the tall grass prairie persists. There they go.
Sharpies. Good girl, Mace. Good girl. That was my test, just to see if I could do it right away.
That was the warm-up.
That was a little warm-up. Good girl, Mace. You busted a little bit there, but we'll take it.
So you might be wondering, why didn't we shoot at those Sharpies that were actually in range? Well, let's call it pucker factor. You see, between 1992 and 1998, 360 prairie chickens were translocated to this area. And after experiencing a population peak of roughly 330 males in 2004, the population has plummeted, and you're not allowed to hunt them. Needless to say, our entire crew wanted to be absolutely certain of what we were shooting at.
Looks like a big cattail slough.
Little hole here, aren't we?
It
looks lower there.
Yeah.
All of this area, you know, the birds are in between all these cattails. Like, you got to navigate around them, you know, and you'll come out and there's this nice lower area. It's a little bit open, and then suddenly, there they are.
Smoking meadows.
I'm just looking at my feet and just caught that glimpse of something in the air.
My dog's on point. All right, Bob, knock it down.
There it is. Come on.
Yep.
Oh, man, that was right there.
You spent a lot of time studying quail through your research. Is there anything you can compare and contrast between
quail in the southeast, and what you're learning up here, tallgrass prairie and sharptail?
Large blocks of habitat are key. Large
large?
block. I think it depends on each of the species, but here, you know, we have almost 40,000 acres in this area. It's not big enough for chickens, I don't think, to really sustain them, but it'll work for sharptails. The amount of plots and the effort that folks like Game and Fish have done to orient and put efforts into plots being adjacent to the public lands has really opened up opportunities to just have some great public space to walk.
Just not random acts. There's like strategy here. There's a plan.
It's got a high water table with really saline areas because it was a historically glacial Lake Agassiz, which made it kind of not the best farmland. You know, it's not super highly productive. So breaking it up didn't make tons of sense when you couldn't really plant it and get a good crop out of it. So that's protected a lot of this area and keeping it in grasslands. And so they got all of this land together. It was some at least connected grasslands. I mean, you get some interspersed ag, but for the most part, you guys have gotten to see, it gets connected through here.
Big blocks.
Where you get bigger blocks than you would expect in the Red River Valley. And so they started the reintroduction program with the prairie chickens. However, CRP enrollments did start to decline in this area. And with that, we also saw the decline of the chicken. There were some hard winters, but at that time too, there were relatively low numbers of sharptails. There were relatively low numbers of pheasants. And so through time, we've seen this shift. There's quite a few sharptails, relatively speaking, compared to the chickens, which are almost non-existent.
You think that just speaks to sharptails and pheasants being more tolerant to the landscape change?
Yeah, I think that's a lot of it, you know, and just the size of acreage as well. Let's start back that way.
Pheasant, rooster, maize, whole point.
You can see really nicely there those feathery feet that really help them thrive in our wonderful North Dakota winters, and the ability to not get stuck in the snow. If you guys don't mind, we'll put this in an envelope and mail it to Game and Fish. Cool. When we get back to the truck, I'll show you guys a couple things of how aging and sexing works with them in the envelopes that we do. Whew.
North Dakota has an important citizen science opportunity where hunters can collect feathers from harvested birds and send them to the Game and Fish Department via dedicated wing envelopes. The more feathers they collect, the better the data. And the better the data, the more informed they can be when it comes to the management of all upland game species. With our sharptail feathers safely tucked away, we decided to focus the rest of the day on finding some pheasants. This is the Rooster Road Trip after all.
Swing up there, I'll go in. She's right here. She's tracking, so it's gonna pop out the end. Back on point. Rooster! All right, well, it's dead.
Nice work, everyone.
Maize, right here. Right here. Good girl, right here, right here. Out, out. Good job, Puffer.
There we go. Awesome.
It's a young one, but it's a rooster.
It wasn't going to get away. There's a lot chasing it.
Head. Good girl, Ask. Rooster! Nice shot.
There's, oh, head. We're pushing them now, I think.
Atta girl. Come on, Ask. Atta girl.
There we
you
go.
go. You like
Thanks.
this spot.
All right, somebody else's turn now, right?
Perfect.
Awesome. You think about this big, vast grassland that goes for, you know, thousands upon thousands, even tens of thousands of acres, right? With the national grasslands and stuff like that. But here, we're not talking about that magnitude. My husband's a deer hunter through and through. And we came here, and it was in that first year, and we're driving around, we're trying to look for hunting opportunities. And he had the eye on some deer things, and he goes, why did we come here again? He goes, I thought when we talked about the duck factory and all these things, it would be something different. And I looked at him, and my answer was, it's because this is where it needs us the most. You know, right here. This is a special spot, and it's a spot that needs us. You know, and with tall grass prairie being one of the most endangered ecosystems, this is cool. This is cool.
Spending a day afield with someone whose passion overlaps with their expertise creates a contagious energy. As we sped up to meet dogs on point, we also slowed down and viewed these grasslands through a new lens. So much work has already gone into the preservation and restoration of this area, but there's still real concern about protecting the remaining parcels of native prairie. In fact, at least 75 bird species nest in these saline grasslands and the neighboring wetlands, which adds to the importance of protecting this particular spot, especially as upland landscapes all across the country continue to be threatened. Thankfully, groups like the Grand Forks Prairie Partners and Pheasants Forever know our work is never done. Conservation doesn't have an end date, and we're always up to the challenge. What started 15 years ago as a crazy idea to shed light on the importance of public access, healthy habitat, and abundant wildlife has certainly taken some fun twists and turns. And this year's Rooster Road Trip across North Dakota was no different. By sharing what we experienced, the staunch points, incredible shots, missed opportunities, and most importantly, these incredible landscapes, we hope you feel inspired to hit the road and enjoy these publicly accessible adventures for yourself. And hopefully, we've also opened your eyes to the fact we need to protect the best of what remains, to restore and enhance the critical upland habitats that we have lost, and to live in ways that ensure we won't lose them again. No other organization knows the uplands better or makes a more significant impact for America's grasslands than Pheasants Forever and Quail Forever. For hunters, for landowners, for outdoor enthusiasts, or for anyone with a deep connection to these critical landscapes, supporting our work is the greatest way to make a difference. So next time you're walking up to your pup on point or finally flush that running rooster in range, take a moment to think about what that experience means to you, how valuable these resources really are, and what we can do together. The uplands give us so much. It's our duty to not just give back, but to give it everything we've got.
The prairie is unbelievable, and there's so many cool things. This is one of the most important places for so many birds. You know, whether you talk waterfowl, you talk upland, you know, with our grouse species, or you talk grassland songbirds, this is a absolutely pivotal place.